NBC Universal has struggled with MSNBC's identity. The cable news channel was never quite able to find a winning formula to keep relevant and shore up ratings. Now, NBC seems poised to hit the reset button at MSNBC yet again.
A lot to get to here.
In the cable news stew, MSNBC has long struggled to break through. It's tried salacious.
There's a 14-year-old girl. You're chasing a cat around. You've got Cool Whip.
It's tried politics.
Let's play hardball.
In recent years, it's tried to be a liberal counterpart to Fox News with marquee names like Rachel Maddow.
It's not exactly what you think.
And Al Sharpton.
One of the ugliest right-wing smears.
But nothing has worked, and the dismal ratings have pushed MSNBC to the brink of irrelevance.
I made a mistake in recalling the events of 12 years ago.
In the wake of the Brian Williams implosion, NBC hired Andrew Lack to right the ship, which now includes a tough look at MSNBC. Lack wants to shift MS back into straight news. Midday opinion shows are reportedly on the chopping block, including The Cycle, now with Alex Wagner and Ed Schultz.
What could be better?
Those might be replaced with more Chuck Todd and a much diminished Brian Williams.
The question is, at this point, though, do people care?
A good question, indeed. I kind of miss To Catch a Predator, you know? This was the good old days. Of course, we did about 1,000 Beat the Presses on them. I used to watch primetime MSNBC when Olbermann was on, because he was, he was incredibly entertaining, very bright, could be funny, that the worst person in the world. It was amusing, at least. But as somebody who really stays home, switching back and forth between sports and news, cable news, I have to say, I don't touch the MSNBC dial anymore.
I don't think I've watched it in a couple of years. There are rumors that Keith Olbermann may be coming back to MSNBC.
But Chuck Todd isn't the answer.
They need each other. And, it's Keith Olbermann can be excruciatingly irritating, but at the same time, he was kind of the centerpiece of that lineup, and he was very good at what he did. I'll predict right now, I think it's 50-50 as to whether Brian Williams' head will ever actually pop up on MSNBC. I still think that there's something in the works that will allow him to depart gracefully.
Could be right. I'm not going to take that bet.
I think part of the MSNBC story, separate from Brian Williams, is a generational story. I mean, the cable news audience is aging. The Fox News is the big leader, and its average audience age is something like 68. MSNBC, in addition to trying to be liberal, was trying to aim younger. It had a show with Ronan Farrow. It was, these kind of young, hip anchors.
Veteran journalist Ronan Farrow.
And nobody was watching. Millennials don't watch cable news. They're not going to get any of their information from cable news. That's part of it.
Doesn't Scarborough do pretty well?
He used to, but he's been doing really horribly too. They've been beaten by CNN.
That show's really been sliding in the ratings.
Well, that is what I watch on MSNBC. I do watch Morning Joe pretty regularly. I have some issues with it because I can see the change over time, and they need somebody to help them reset, I think, their format as well. But it does draw. It's just not drawing as well as it used to. Appreciably, it's dropped. So I think that's an issue. Ed Schultz could kind of get on your nerves, but Rachel Maddow has a strong, if core, audience. It's all about, for me, I mean, you're right about the millennials, but for me, it's about the mix. And there's something you can't quite put your hand on, but when the chemistry lines up, that the mix is good, then even the people that other folks aren't interested in will get seen because somebody's drawing them. Maybe that's a Keith Olbermann. Maybe it's somebody else we don't know of yet. But they haven't found the mix yet. That's my opinion.
Let me just propose that MSNBC's fate in the next 5 to 10 years is going to hinge on who's elected president in 2016. And if we get a conservative Republican in the White House, then they'll be able to operate from an adversarial position, which was great for Fox News and was great for MSNBC under George W. Bush. But I think that under Obama's presidency, or in Obama's presidency, they've sort of curdled into this just insufferable smugness. I can't stand watching MSNBC. So I think it depends on what happens in 2016.
Although you remember Air America? You remember when Air America was going to come and be the liberal antidote to conservative talk radio? It was terrible. And I think MSNBC...
Liberal talk never worked.
Yeah.
Exception of Jim Brown.
But how would they come back if they turn to straight news now, which what the rumor is. They're going to replace these opinion shows. They won't. It'll be straight news. There'll be no opinion.
What they're talking about is straight news during the day, but you'd still have opinionated talk shows at night.
Okay, but which ones? I guess that's
well,
the
that Sharpton. That doesn't. That's
no, it doesn't.
terrible.
No.
Well, I assume Rachel
terrible.
Maddow's the franchise, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Rachel Maddow's excellent, but she's like the only
I can't
one.
listen.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't listen.
I mean, when it was her and Keith Olbermann, and you know, then they had the makings of a lineup that worked.
Yeah, I think the Rachel Maddow show is quite strong. However, what the criticism was in some of the pieces that we read was that it's very formulaic. So even within the bounds of her show, I think she has to mix it up as well.
And she gives you an 8-minute lecture before she goes into the
Well,
segment.
see, this is what I'm saying. I think somebody, you know, some other people. But she's got some fun segments that they could highlight and whatever. And I agree with you about Sharpton. Really? I mean, that's just not a good
You're onto
show.
one of my favorite axes to grind, because I think that they have misused Maddow for a long time. She's very good in conversation with people. And to have her start off and do a rant for 10 minutes, it doesn't work.
Way too long.
Well, and it does get a little self-righteous and smug, but she's smart.